Caroline and Cromwellian literature. The turbulent years of the mid-17th century during the reign of Charles I and the subsequent Commonwealth and Protectorate saw a flourishing of political literature in English pamphlets written by sympathizers of every fiction in the English Civil War ran from vicious personal attacks and polemics through many forms of propaganda to high-minded schemes to reform the nation of the latter type. Leviathan by Thomas Hobbes would prove to be one of the most important work. अगेन रीचेक करता हूँ जी, ये मेरे पास स्लाइड में डिफरेंस आ रहा है. टॉमस होब वुड प्रूव, हाँ जी बुक पे भी प्रूव भी है, ठीक है. टू बी वन ऑफ द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट वर्क्स of British political philosophy. Hobbes' writing are some of the few political works from the era which are still regularly published. While John Bramhall, who was Hobbes' chief critic, is largely forgotten, the period also saw a flourishing of new books. The precursors to the British newspaper, with journalists such as Henry Muddyman, Marchmont, Needham, and John Burkhead, representing the views and activities of the contending parties. The frequent arrests of authors and the suppressions of their works, with the consequences of foreign or underground printing, led to the proposal of a licensing system. The pamphlet by John Milton was written in opposition to licensing and is regarded as one of the most eloquent defenses of press freedom ever written. Specifically, in the reign of Charles I, 1625 to 1642, English Renaissance theatre experienced its concluding efforts since the last work of Ben Jonson's appeared on stage and in print, along with the final generation of major voices in the drama of the age. John Ford, Philip Messenger, James Shirley, and Richard Brome. With the closure of the theatres at the start of the English Civil War in 1642, drama was suppressed from a generation to resume only in the altered society of the English Restoration in 1660. This is the same page when the Brookfield School was working, and at the same age the novel Mystery Chips was being produced. So this is also near the same era. So this is another example for you. Generation to resume, only I was giving you the example because you have learned and you have well known about Mr. Chips and Mr. Chipping, so, and Brookfield School, so it will be more valuable than that of any quotation or than that of an example. Society of the English Restoration in 1660, diarists John Evelyn and Small Pepys depicted everyday London life and the cultural scene times. Their works are among the most important primary for the English Restoration period and consist of eyewitnesses accounts of many great events, such as the Great Plague of London and the Great Fire of London. Other forms of literature written during this period are usually ascribed political subtext of their authors are grouped along political lines, owed much to the earlier school of metaphysical poets. The forced retirements of royalist officials after the executions of Charles I was a good thing in the case of Isaac Walton, as it gave him time to work on his book, The Complete Angler. Published in 1653, the book, ostensibly a guide of fishing, is much more a meditation on life, leisure, and contentment. The two most important poets of Oliver Cromwell's England were Andrew Marvell and John Milton, with the both producing work praising the new government, such as Marvell's and Horatian ode upon Cromwell's return from Ireland. Despite their republican beliefs, they escaped punishment upon the restoration of Charles II, after which Milton wrote some of his greatest political works with any possible political message hidden under allegory. Thomas Browne was another writer of the period, a learned man with an extensive library. He wrote prolifically on science, religion, medicine, and the esoteric. Restoration literature Restoration literature includes both Paradise Lost and the Earl of Rochester's Sodom, the high-spirited sexual comedy of the country wife, and the moral wisdom of Pilgrim's Progresses. It has looks to treatise on government, to the foundation of the Royal Society, the experiment of Robert Boyle, and the holy meditation of Boyle, the historical attacks on theatres from Jeremy Collier, and the first newspaper, the official break in literary culture caused by censorship and radically moralist standards under Cromwell's Puritan regime created a gap in literary tradition, allowing a seemingly fresh start for all forms of literature after the Restoration. During the interregnum, the royalist forces attached to the court of Charles I went into exile with the 20-year-old Charles II. The nobility who travelled with Charles II were therefore lodged for over a decade in the midst of the continent's literary scene. Charles spent his time attending plays in France, and he developed a taste of Spanish plays. Those nobles living in Holland began to learn about mercantile exchange, as well as the tolerant rationalist prose debates that circulated in the officially tolerant nation. The largest and most important poetic form of the era was satire. In journal publication of satire was done anonymously. There were great dangers in being associated with a satire. On the one hand, defamation law was a wide net, and it was difficult for a satirist to avoid prosecution if he were proven to have written a piece that seemed to criticize a Nobel. On the other hand, wealthy individuals would respond to satire as often as not by having the suspected poet physically attacked by ruffians. John Dryden was set upon for being merely suspected of having written the satire on mankind. Consequences of the anonymity is that a great many poems, some of them of merit, are unpublished and largely unknown. It was the episode 3 and we have concluded the restoration literature of the era. So let me go now, and we will be right back with you with the new topic, with the new vlog, with the new gossip, and with the new lecture. So let me go now and say with me, do something more for humanity.